Now we will move on to our next session, where we will learn about the important work the industry is doing to enact positive change in society. I did read somewhere recently that advertising has 3 main objectives. That's to inform, to persuade, and to remind. This industry seems to improve the world that we live in by creating employment, raising awareness for good causes, it encourages companies to provide new products, and it also supports media independence. We're shortly going to hear from a panel of leaders at Channel 4, Ocean, Scotland and Haleon. But first, to set the scene, can we please welcome to the stage Matt Bourn, Communications Director at the Advertising Association. Matt.
Hi, everyone. Great to be here. Thanks for the opportunity to come and talk about this. I was reflecting on what I wanted to say during this sort of 10 minutes or so a few weeks ago. And as I was reflecting on it, my LinkedIn, ping, 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 alert, alert, alert. And I sort of looked at it, and 7 years I've been at the Advertising Association. It was my 7th anniversary, and all these messages are coming in. And it's kind of congratulations on your 7th anniversary. And A, time flies when you're having fun. But B, it made me think, actually, the way into this one is to go back to the start. And I remember pitching for the role and speaking with Stephen and fellow directors at the time. And I said, when we talk about advertising, I think there are 3 things that we've got to talk about. The first one is quite simply the economic contribution, right? We help businesses compete, we help businesses innovate, and through that we create jobs, we support jobs, and that is a fundamental, okay? The second was that we're really rather good at it. We are good at making great ads, and the world comes to the UK for brilliant advertising, which helps businesses grow. And we see that through the success that we have at places like Cannes Lions and so forth. But we need to kind of sell that even harder. And then the third message that I sort of threw into the mix was, do you know what? When advertising does good, it's really good. It's really good. And looking back to sort of look forward and say, okay, where are we headed? As I reflect on those 3 messages, my gut tells me that this one is actually getting more and more important. It matters more, the social contribution. So I wanted to sort of kind of reflect on that. You know, why is that? And where's the data that shows that this third message is becoming more important to our industry? So it sort of throws up the question of what's our role. We've got a new UK government and a Scotland government who are both saying, we don't have enough money, there are lots of problems to fix, there are problems with public health, there are problems with social inclusion, there are problems with climate change, and we need to help a business to do that. You know, Labour government has been as candid as saying, for every £1 of public money, we need £3 of business money. And so there's a question here. They're talking about a partnership between government and industry. And I think that poses a really interesting question for us, which is, what is our role then as an industry at this time? And I look at the coverage that's coming through and the pressure that's coming through from NGOs, and my gut tells me there's more requirement than ever on our industry to make a social contribution. So where's the data? Okay, so the data, Credos, UK advertising industry think tank, funded through the membership of Front Foot and the Advertising Association. They track public trust in advertising. Now, you know, back in the 90s, the trust in ads was up kind of in the 80%, but, you know, we're lower, but we're building and working on how to rebuild that trust. And we're starting to see it pick back up, okay? So we've got trust in ads, you know, picking back up. And we're starting to kind of understand why and what it is that we've got to do to really, really properly build trust in advertising. If you read our latest Value of Trust report, one of the nuggets that's in there is that trust as a metric of the effectiveness of your advertising campaign to deliver a business result has gone from 7th in importance to 2nd. Second most important thing now, behind the quality of the product or the service. All about trust. So you may have seen this slide before, but this is the Credos work, which essentially picks apart the public and what is going on with their thinking around trust. And what I want to talk to you today particularly about are the two on the left, the top two, the enjoyment and the social contribution. The enjoyment is about the creative quality of the work. The social contribution is that extra impact that the work can have. Now, let's break that down a bit more. This data, I think, is really critical. We're seeing a kind of promoting and creativity, sharing creativity right at the top. But look at that, 34% to 44% drive social change. That's a 10% jump in 3 years, okay? That's people looking at our industry and saying, we want the work of our industry to help with social change. Where's that coming from? That's coming from a younger demographic. The future audience, the future customers of our industry are saying, we want to see more work that makes a positive social contribution. And they believe in the importance of that. I think this is critical for two reasons. A, because they are the customers of the future. But B, they're also the talent that we want to come and work in our industry. They want to be involved in work which makes a social contribution. So this is why earlier this year we put together this report for the first time, Social Contribution of Advertising. And it's all of the award-winning work, which essentially is doing a social contribution. And Credos ran analysis of that work. You can download it through the QR code, and identified 5 key themes. Let me show you the themes. The first is raising awareness or money for good causes. This stat is really interesting. 14% increase in charity ad spend in the last year in 2023. I think historians of the future might look back at ad spend and go, what was going on? Why did charities have to advertise more? Second point is encouraging people to seek help, find ways to have happier, healthier lives. Amazing work by ITV. This campaign led to 981 million extra portions of vegetables being eaten. That's phenomenal. Okay? We can do more. Promoting products that are good for society, good for the planet. This is brilliant by Nurofen. This looked at the gender pain gap index, identified that women find it much harder than men to have their pain recognized. Their pain is dismissed. So Nurofen is leading awareness of this as a societal issue and helping us understand that. Bringing people together around important cultural events and moments. This is the COVID inquiry. There weren't enough pregnant women or new mums coming forward to give evidence to the COVID inquiry because they didn't think their voice was as important as the nurses or the doctors. Bauer Media delivered a brilliant campaign to increase the number of people that came forward to give evidence to the COVID inquiry. And it's the understanding each other element of advertising, which I think is really important as well. This is the Vanish campaign, which won the Channel 4 Diversity and Advertising Award. This is all about raising awareness that girls are less likely to be identified as autistic as boys. Okay? And, you know, it's a fantastic example, again, of just making a positive social contribution. Now, I'm not naive. Advertising is about being commercially successful. But what I'm saying is that advertising is now also about being socially successful. And Jessica Tamzage, who is the Chief Creative Officer at Dentsu, she was at the IPA Business Growth Conference in the summer. And she said 2 things which caught my ear. The first is this: you're wrong if you think advertising is just about selling things. And the second thing was this. Advertising is about using creativity to solve problems. I genuinely believe that the best work we can now make and the work that people respond to will be work that is commercially and socially successful. That is the win-win-win. And with that, I'm going to ask 3 brilliant industry leaders to come and join me on stage and to talk a little bit more about that. So, if you could come and join me, Loretta, Yvette, and Marc. Thank you. So I'm spoiled with the people I've got up on stage with me. I'm going to ask them to each introduce themselves in turn. I'll just give a little bit about what we've done is we've said, pick a campaign, tell us about it, the commercial success, the social success. So let's work along. Marc.
Who am I and what do I do?
Who are you and what do you do?
Good afternoon, everyone. My name's Marc Keenan, and I'm the Managing Director of Ocean Scotland.
Fantastic.
Hopefully everyone knows Ocean, the out-of-home advertising company.
We know it well, and you're here to talk about Drops in the Ocean
Indeed.
campaign, which touches on sustainability. So we're going to come back to that in a second. Jennifer.
Yeah, I'm Jennifer Whyte, and I'm the front-end innovation insights lead at Haleon, which was formerly GSK, so we were the spin-off from GSK, you might know that. Just thought I'd throw that one in, we're a relatively new company.
Absolutely.
Hi, I'm Loretta. I work for Channel 4, and I'm a little bit nervous to tell this room that is based in Manchester. And I am a Mancunian, so apologies. I look after all agencies and clients outside of London.
Fantastic. Okay, and just so we've got sustainability, Jennifer's got a public health hat on, and Loretta's got an inclusion hat on. So, Loretta, we're going to take a look, first of all, a campaign by Channel 4, and then we're going to have a bit of a chat about that. So, if you could play the campaign for us now, we can watch it on the screen.
That biscotti is delicious. I love the crunch, the flavour, the texture's spot on.
Really good. Both of those biscuits.
Gravity. It's totally self-centered. It wants to introduce your face to the floor, no matter who you are or what you look like. It breaks bones, hearts, and gives middle-aged men boobs. Friction doesn't care. It's not here to make exceptions. You're going its way whether your lycra likes it or not. It's keeping your skin as a souvenir. Time doesn't stop for anyone. Just marches ruthlessly on. It says you're not going to qualify. You won't make the plane. Your pet's not coming back. You're not getting any younger. That force, that headwind, that 200-pound weight, that tennis ball headed straight for your face.
That's a bit of magic.
He's incredible for someone like that.
It's so brain.
She's doing so well, considering.
Considering what?
None of them give a flying toss. Who you are or what your backstory is.
Good for her. For someone like that. For someone like that. For someone like that.
So what? Considering what? So what?
For someone like that. For someone like that. Good for her.
So what?
For someone like that.
So what?
For someone like that.
So what?
For someone like that.
They would never say, he's amazing for someone in a wheelchair.
That is awesome. Gives me goosebumps. It gives me goosebumps watching that. I'd love to know the thinking behind that and how you got to that creative. And it's part of almost like 12 years of telling the story now about the Paralympics.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, first and foremost, it's an amazing piece of work, emotive storytelling, and obviously, hopefully you spotted all the different stars of the Paralympics, including Dame Sarah Story. This piece of film was commissioned by Channel 4 after we saw some research which showed that nearly 60% of people said they watched the Paralympics to see people overcome their disabilities, whereas only 37% said they watched it for exciting sporting moments. And I think we wanted to create a piece of film that challenged people to view the Paralympians as elite world-class athletes, not just competitors trying to overcome their disabilities. So our in-house creative team, For Creative, basically pulled together this amazing piece of film and basically challenged the viewing public to consider their preconceptions of Paralympic greatness and basically asking them to recognise them for who they truly are, which is elite world athletes. I think sort of from a commercial perspective, we wanted to have an impact on the advertising industry as well. We wanted the advertising industry to be more inclusive. So what we did was we went out to the industry and asked all advertisers and agencies to add closed caption subtitles to either their existing pieces of copy or new creative during and beyond the Paralympics. So prior to this, only 25% of ads are delivered with closed caption subtitles, but with great push and a lot of support from advertisers and our agencies, which we thank you for, we managed to get that up to 60% during the Paralympic coverage, which is a phenomenal result, quite frankly, in that space. But we also did other initiatives. Within our commercial space, we saw partners, Allianz and Toyota, create the most accessible sponsorship ident we've ever had in the whole of the UK. So it featured both audio description, signing, and included closed caption subtitles. We also worked alongside Bupa with the support of an agency called Purple Goat, the inclusive marketing agency, to create an ad campaign that went around the Paralympics, which was designed to challenge the UK ad industry, asking them where are all the disabled people in their ads. A really interesting stat is that 24% of the people in the UK are disabled, only 4% are featured in ads. So that campaign really tried to push that forward. As a Channel 4 initiative, we have the Diversity in Advertising Awards, which we've run for the past 9 years. It's where we ask the industry to look at what they're doing and we give a design of what we'd like to happen. So for this year, it's making TV ads more accessible and inclusive by design. So encouraging people who engage with TV advertising to allow them to be as inclusive as possible, to put as much embedding in for inclusive advertising. The shortlist is announced tomorrow. There's 6 shortlists, and then the winner will be announced in November.
They're always a fantastic piece of work to watch. What I love about what you're saying about the Paralympics, it was research-driven. The insight came from research. You saw that, from the kind of customer base. And there are advertisers interested in this. They want to get involved in this. What's the sort of commercial reaction, sales team reaction to advertisers wanting to be sort of part of this?
I think the big sort of realisation was when we talked about wanting to put closed caption subtitles, and there isn't a lot of information known about how to do that, and it was difficult at first. The initial conversations were, we want to go out. Our ambition would always would be 100%, but it was an ambition. And it was an initiative that we did that we want everybody to jump on board with. But, at first it's about knowing how to do that and stepping into that space.
Yeah.
But it's also about us being able to help people step into that space as well. And we worked with Clearcast. We offered, Clearcast offered a lower rate to everyone who wanted to close caption their subtitle, their ads. so that there was no barrier to entry. So it was a really good collaboration between us and Clearcast and the other providers as well.
I think it's really interesting because in a way what you've done is you've identified a problem, and then the role of you as a media owner has been, if you like, to help brands solve it. But you need brands to then engage with it.
Absolutely.
You need brand spend to get behind that. But I mean, the results, I mean, you know, that campaign is fantastic, and the whole activity that you did around the Paralympics, I think, was superb. So congratulations, and, you know, thank you from the advertising industry for Channel 4, you know, sort of stepping into that again. I'm sure we'll see that get recognised at Cannes next summer. Right, I'm going to move to Marc. We're going to talk sustainability. We touched a bit on it earlier, but Marc, tell us about drops in the ocean, and perhaps you've got a short film about it as well, which might help.
Yeah, well, the film will explain it probably better than I can. We've adopted an initiative in recent years whereby 2% of our net stated profits are given back to green environmental issues, in kind, effectively. So to date, we've helped 24 different charities have access to out-of-home advertising to promote all sorts of environmental good issues.
Fantastic. Well, should we take a look at the film? And then we'll have a bit more of a chat about it. Thank you.
This year we've enjoyed the most incredible collaboration with Ocean Outdoor, which has taken our communications, our marketing and our fundraising to a totally different level. It's been a real thrill for me to see our project work up on the big screens right across the country. I look forward very much to continuing our collaboration in 2023. Thank you so much, Ocean Outdoor, for what you've done for us. Thank you.
The Drops in the Ocean scheme has just been so amazing for Just Dig It, as we believe there is no more effective medium for boosting awareness than out-of-home media. Unusually for a non-profit, we don't ask for money in our communications. We just show the impact of restoring nature at scale in a simple, engaging way. And although we are biased, we think it looks amazing on large digital screens. So thank you so much, Ocean Outdoor, for helping us boost our awareness this last year and before.
I'm delighted to have used Drops in the Ocean this year for really connecting people to the ocean like never before, to audiences that we've never really been able to reach before. We used all of our budget this year on a campaign called Bring Back British Cod, which I'm delighted to say has just reached 10,000 signatures and will be heard in Parliament.
So being able to use Ocean Outdoors' UK-wide network of screens to get our brand and messages out to a wider public has been a huge help to us. In particular, thanks to their locations, they've helped us reach audiences across the UK's top cities and retail centres. So I'd like to say a big thank you to all the team at Ocean Outdoor for choosing us as one of their charities, for their generosity in donating so much space to our campaign, and for all their help in supporting us in our fight to save our seas. Thank you.
We'd never done this kind of thing before, and we also learned about all the technology that we could employ to create a campaign that really made a difference to people that were feeling climate anxiety. So yeah, thank you, Ocean. We loved working with you, and you'll see our entry to the new competition in the new year. Thanks a lot.
A small charity like Our Only World, a very small charity, would never have the opportunity to have that exposure across the UK. It's been an incredible privilege to work with Ocean Outdoors and the volunteers, Coco and Lely, and my eyes have been opened to creativity, really. It's been amazing, and thank you all very much.
It's very cool. So sustainability, it's a subject that's close to my heart. Obviously, co-written book on sustainable advertising, and we wrote about ocean in the book, Seb and I. But I want to take a step back. You know, why, particularly for the out-of-home sector, why is getting hold of sustainability and climate change so important, do you think?
I think we have to go probably back at least 40 years to when I entered this industry, Matt. Mm-hmm. Back in the 80s, we were the 3% medium. We were a paper and paste business. For the older people in the room, I won't point you out, you know who you are. We posted our billboard sites once a month in the old-fashioned paper and paste method. I remember recoiling in horror at the prospect of having to go to fortnightly advertising, believe it or not, posting twice a month. We went from there to printing non-soluble PVC inks onto vinyls, illuminated by fluorescent lighting, all pretty unfriendly, frankly, to the environment. Yeah. So we've come a long way in the scope of my career to the point where we're now 98% digital, using LEDs, which are also known as green lighting technology. So we've got our act together as an industry in terms of out of home. We're now known as the 10% medium. So pretty rapid growth and a pretty rapid company wash.
I mean, I think it's brilliant, but I think the out-of-home sector sort of sits right at the epicenter of a conversation about advertising, sort of positive and negative when it comes to climate change. Because, Seb and I, when we talk about it, out-of-home infrastructure is going to help decarbonise the urban environments around the world, towns and cities around the world, and it will help with public transport. Okay, so it's critical to that. But at the same time, councils are looking at out-of-home advertising and making decisions about restricting certain types of advertising on out-of-home ads. I think the most recent we've seen is the Edinburgh Council sort of making a decision against carbon intensive. I'm just sort of interested in the position of out-of-home businesses now and I think the drive to be positive about climate change and support that. I'd be interested in your take on what next, in terms of the direction of travel for the out-of-home sector.
Listen, I have to take my hat off to whoever booked this venue because, as some of you may or may not know, there's a giant digital screen on the gable end just around the corner.
Superb.
That was the first commercially available digital advertising screen in the UK. And when I had the task of going to London and marketing that thing in 2004, trust me, I got some fairly blank looks, Yep. That screen wrote the book for out of home in terms of the 1 minute, 10-second loop.
Yep.
We had to apply to local authorities. Edinburgh is a good case in point, dead against the notion, of giant screens in their cities. Some local authorities are better than others now in terms of understanding and accepting the social role that the screens can provide in terms of public information messaging, etc. And indeed good health messaging.
And the funding that comes from it as well. I mean,
absolutely.
40 to 50% is coming back into the public infrastructure.
Yep.
And if you're going to decarbonise cities and towns, one of the main ways you're going to do that is through that infrastructure.
Yeah. There'll come a time in the relatively near future when, I guess, paper and paste, the caveman stuff is a thing of the past, and the world is entirely digital or holographic or whatever technology holds for us in the future. But certainly greener.
What I love about your story about the 1 in 6, though, is that is now a global standard that's used around the world, and it started here in Glasgow.
Yeah.
And it underlines the whole kind of UK world class leading the way. And you said you sort of happened upon it. It was almost accident that was the frequency.
Yeah.
But because we're so digitally advanced, we were the first to have to discover it.
Well, that's right. When we built that, bear in mind, in Christmas 2003, there was only Piccadilly Circus in London. There was nothing available in terms of commercially accessible digital screen. So in our naivety, we wrote a loop, which was 4 minutes of 30-second adverts. And when I took that to London, it became apparent fairly quickly that was difficult to sell and difficult to justify. So we honed it to a position where we got the 6 ads in a minute loop, and that is pretty much globally accepted as the standard. So we're quite proud to say that it started next door.
Well done.
Thank you.
Well, we loved seeing the lead brand up on it, so thank you for that. That was superb. Right, Jennifer, let's talk. Tell me about Haleon and the campaign that you chose to show us this afternoon.
Yeah, I'm not sure when you're showing the ad itself.
Whenever you want to.
Do you want to show it now?
Well, why not? Let's see it.
A bit like Marc, it kind of explains a bit of the story.
Let's go for it. Let's play the ad and then we'll chat about it.
Perfect teeth look like no gaps, really straight, no wonky teeth. Straight nail. Why?
I would like to have teeth like those.
I've definitely noticed signs of self-consciousness due to their teeth. If you're not feeling confident in the classroom, you're not going to do the best academically.
I thought he was going to be more dummy and actually looking at his teeth. Ask him why, then she smiled.
Anybody here have a wiggly tooth? You brush in circles, touch all the surfaces.
That's fantastic. Being able to embrace and empower kids with really amazing smiles that aren't what you would consider perfect. When other kids see that, that's going to make them feel confident about who they are. Perfection is an attitude, and as long as you're healthy and you look after your teeth, that's what is brilliant. It's okay, you're all good.
That's fantastic. So you were involved.
Yeah, it was actually.
Tell us more about it. How did it come about?
And I'm glad you picked this one because I was involved in it. So this one came about really with Aquafresh, the brand. It's, you know, it's regarded in the UK as quite kind of like just price value. You quite often find it at the bottom of the shelf. And so the brand was kind of like thinking around, well, what's our cause? What do we want to stand for? We want to have more positive associations with the brand. So conducted some research, as you can see some of the stats there in the film, and like 1 in 2 kids are, you know, they're kind of affected. They've got lack of self-confidence. They're self-conscious about when they smile. You can see that. And so therefore, then we had these stats, we had this information, and then we approached Ian Rankin. And then he conducted his little social experiment with the kids. So it was all primary school kids. And we brought in kids that had gaps or wiggly teeth or buck teeth or, you know, whatever. And we spoke to them about their teeth and how they feel about their teeth and how they feel about smiling. And he created this little social experiment. And then we showed the parents. And then it led to the Out of Home campaign. It's led to, we've been working with an educational dental wellness trust. So we've been working with them. As a result of all of the material, we've created more material for them. And also we've been, Tesco are a key partner for Aquafresh as well. So we've been working with them with their stronger campaign as well. And we've got a roadshow going with them, with a dental roadshow with Tesco as well. So there's been lots of elements that have come out of it.
And from a commercial perspective, is that working for, you know, I mean, you seeing that sort of putting you on the spot?
No, I kind of like, as a researcher person, I did ask what the response has been like. And the response has been brilliant. You know, the response, we did a pre-dip, you know, a kind of brand equity dip before the campaign went out and then post the campaign. And we have created, you know, a nice warm fuzzy feel towards the brand, which is important. You know, that's what we want the brand to be about. And we want it, you know, the brand should stand for bringing joy to the everyday. And then obviously we're a healthcare company as well, so it fits in with our overall healthcare mission, which is to deliver everyday health for humanity.
Yeah.
So it all kind of fits together quite nicely.
And do you, so with Haleon, are you looking at different health issues with the different brands? Is that the way you're sort of thinking now?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah, so we've got lots of other brands that are looking at various different issues.
Yeah.
And this is then, you know, and it's also about, you know, there's in the UK, particularly, there's a massive amount of dental health issues as well. So this campaign and the identification of the kind of the of the campaign and perfect teeth or just healthy teeth, it's really relevant now as well, and it's about encouraging behaviours, and the behaviours of brushing your teeth twice a day, 2 minutes. Because people are not going to the dentists, and COVID's played that part in it. Also, we read about it in the news about NHS getting access to NHS dentists is very difficult. And then there's also some other quite sad stats around the number of extractions with kids under the age of 5 with their milk teeth. And it's really important for you never think about your mouth and the health of your mouth and how important your oral health is to the rest of your body.
Yeah. It's really interesting. Oh yeah, obviously Fresh, fantastic sort of case study there, stepping forward on that particular problem and solving it. So we've got just under 5 minutes left in this session. So I wanted to ask a question of each of you. So if people in the audience are thinking, right, okay, next campaign, I want it to be commercially successful, but I also want it to have a positive social impact. I want to win. There's a commercial win and a social win. What would a piece of advice be that you would give them? Shall I start with you, Loretta?
Yeah, I'm happy to.
Go for it.
I think that it's really, really important to be authentic. You have to stay within your own brand storytelling. And it's really important to look at other advertisers and look at the successful ones. I'd highlight Maltesers, who won our Diversity in Advertising Award. And as you alluded to before and showed, the Vanish campaign as well. It's about telling a story within your own brand and not going too far out, because people, we talked about this as well, didn't we? People will question your brand authenticity if they don't believe what you're doing is right within your brand.
Yeah.
So it is about being authentic to your brand. That's my tip.
Thank you. Marc?
If I think of, again, from a billboard perspective, if I think about the ads which have resonated and imprinted themselves with me over the years, they've always had a humorous element to them. You know, I can talk about, and I'm not stealing the thunder of the next team on the stage, the brilliant Iron Brew stuff is just world-leadingly funny. Scottish Power's current campaign, it's a challenge in itself when we're talking about a difficult subject like environmental awareness and green energy and so on. So I would leave that to the clever copywriters, but if you can inject an element of humour to it, you can literally, from an out-of-home perspective, stop people in their tracks.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. Jennifer?
Yeah, it's interesting. I was going to say something completely different, but actually, just you talking about the humour element, I think it's got to create some emotion. So you then said goosebumps. I've got goosebumps watching that. And I used to work at Unilever. I worked there for 20 years. Dove Real Beauty created emotion. And I remember doing the research for the brand at the time in Central Eastern Europe. And it really created emotion. And I think, whether it's goosebumps, whether it's laughter, whatever it is, I think it's, and it's got to be meaningful and it's got to be relevant.
And to be fair to Dove, they've been consistent as well. Oh. They've stuck with that and pushed that all the way through, haven't they?
Yeah, Dove for me is one of the best brands I ever worked on in my career.
I mean, I think this, sort of reflecting on this conversation and wrapping this up, I think, there are problems out there. There are problems that can be helped, can be fixed. I kind of think, where we're at with advertising is, as we're thinking about selling products and selling services, if through that process we're also helping to fix a problem, that is a win-win-win. And I do look at case studies and talk to people who've been involved in those types of campaigns, and they are the most fulfilled people working in advertising because they know that the impact of their work is actually successful, commercially successful, and socially successful as well. With that, I want to say a huge thank you to my guests this afternoon. So Loretta, Jennifer and Marc, thank you very much for sharing your wisdom with us all this afternoon.